Hi, everyone. Dr. Tim for another Dr. Tim's Aquatics podcast. And joining me this morning are Thomas Berchery, a managing director of Aquarium Systems France, ASF,
Hello.
and Dale Lewis, a managing member of Reptile Systems. Dale's based in the UK. How are you guys doing this morning?
Fine, and you?
Doing well.
All good here.
Yeah.
Apart from the UK weather, obviously, is very different to where you are.
Well, we're on fire here in Southern California, so it's that season. November in the Santa Ana winds. So big giant fires going on. Even Moore Park and Simi Valley made the national news yesterday and on CNN this morning. So
For us, winter's coming, so sorry, no fire.
No fire. We don't even have rain or snow. So today, Thomas is going to talk about the ASF cichlid salts, and Dale is going to talk about our black clamp lamps.
That's correct, yeah.
Cool. All right. And I am going to talk about our beneficial fish food. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen here. Share PowerPoint. Did this get going?
So you want to test our geographic, if we are good in geography?
Geography. Geography. It's all yours, Thomas.
I'm gonna try to do, but you're the specialist for cichlids, normally not me. Anyway, you're the one in the Cichlid Association.
Yes, treasurer of the American Cichlid Association. And what we're looking at right now are is a map of the Great Lakes of Africa. A lot of great cichlids come from that. But people, did you know, people look at African cichlids, but angelfish from South America are cichlids. Discus from South America are cichlids. So cichlids are a very widespread family, but we're going to concentrate on
the African one.
The African one.
Yeah, because the water is not the same in between South America and African one.
Right. I mean, South America water is very soft, so it doesn't have calcium and magnesium. It's got a lower pH. It doesn't have
much lower
buffering capacity. And the African lakes, though, are quite interesting, as Thomas is going to talk about, because even though geographically, I mean, there's a couple 1,000 miles or here, but from Maui, Lake Maui to Lake Victoria, though it's not that far, and the water though is completely different.
Yeah.
Though from
there are explanation on why they are different.
Right.
First of all, we need to understand why these lakes have been created. I mean, it's when the tectonic activity and the Earth's crust tears apart. That's where it creates deep rifts that with time has been filled with water. And of course, due to this, with all the activity of the volcano, you have a unique mineral composition, and every lake is different. And I think if I'm correct, most of these lakes are very deep, and they have an average depth of almost 300 meters, and they can go down up to 700 meters.
That's which means roughly 1,000 feet to about 2,400 feet for you meter.
Sorry, I always miss this one. Sorry. So and because of these lakes being created with the tectonic movement, with the tectonic activity, it means you have lots of volcanic and metamorphic rocks. So from a chemistry point of view, it means it's very low in calcium, but very rich in magnesium and other minerals. And when you have cichlids from this region, you need to have the right mineral balance to maintain the health of the fishes. Also, these lakes, they have a very interesting, and this is nice, and we, ASF, we paid in the past several expedition of scientists from France that went there just to check and to discover new species. and there is a huge endemic diversity because thanks to the isolation and the stability of these lakes over time, it has really allowed for an extensive cichlids evolution, and you have literally thousands of unique species, and each of them, depending if you are in Lake Victoria or Lake Malawi, you really need to have the specific minerals to maintain, maybe not maintain, but if you want to reproduce them. Hence why it's very important to have a proper salt that we can see, that we're going to see later. Another important part of the chemical composition of these lakes, it's that these lakes have a very stable alkaline conditions. So the pH, as you said, Tim, is relatively high, from 7.5 to 9. And the conductivity, due to all the buffering minerals that are in the water, create a very stable environment that supports the cichlids diversity. And I think when you have aquariums dedicated with cichlids, you can really see, thousands of different fishes. I mean, Tim, you visited several aquariums like this for sure, and it's quite impressive. The diversity in colors, shape, size.
And where they live, you've got certain fish that are shell dwellers. They literally live inside the snail shells, like hermit crabs. And then you've got fish that only graze on the Aufwuchs, that's a German word, and that's the combination of algae and zooplankton and microorganisms that grow on rocks. And then you've got predatory fish, so they're very fuselage or missile shaped with big teeth that eat everything.
Yeah.
And then small to huge, tons of colors, and it's just they're gorgeous. When people say, well, saltwater fish are so much more beautiful than freshwater, they really need to look at the African lake cichlids. They've got tons of different colors. And
you cannot really say it's fresh water because you have lots of minerals.
Yeah,
you do have lots of minerals.
If you can survive on it, it's freshwater, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And I know because discussing with my dad, he says in the early days of the aquariums, it was tough to keep, very, very tough to keep cichlids in good conditions because we weren't sure of exactly which minerals. So I speak about this 60 years ago, but since then we've made studies, so we know now that you need to have certain, especially the buffers, you need to have a very stable pH if you want to be able to reproduce the cichlids.
And we should say, when Thomas talking about salt, he's specifically not talking about sodium. I mean, salt, you can calcium and magnesium and different things. But even though Aquarium Systems France is the largest producer of sea salts for reef tanks and saltwater aquariums using sodium chloride mixed with a bunch of other things, no cichlid salt is going to contain sodium.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. 100% correct. It's mostly magnesium, that's for sure, and lots of carbonate and bicarbonates.
Yeah. So the magnesium contributes to your hardness. Hardness is calcium and magnesium primarily, and then the carbonate and bicarbonate is your alkalinity, or KH is alkalinity if we're going to get into your test kits, and GA is your general hardness, your calcium and your magnesium. So you get a chemistry lesson early this morning.
I thought it was supposed to be a simple podcast.
It's simple. There's no equations involved. If I wanted to make it difficult, I have equations and a test at the end.
Oh, no.
That would be fun. and I mean, everything now that we understand a little bit the chemistry of these lakes, it's important to say that more and more the best results that we got with cichlids is we use RO water to make the water. We don't use tap water because the tap water, even though you could have a good conductivity, it doesn't mean you have the right minerals in it. Hence why it's better to start from RO water. So I don't know if we need to explain. RO water is a water that stripped all the minerals and contaminants, and it creates a blank slate for your aquarium, and then you can add the chemicals and the salts to create the seawater. It's I don't know if we can make an analogy. It's a little bit like when you bake a cake and you have the flour. If you have pure flour, that's your RO water, and then you add all the other pieces to make your cake the way you want and to be able to repeat this. So that's RO water for aquariums.
Right. And as Thomas mentioned, if you want to maintain them, it's not as critical to have the right water composition. But if you're trying to spawn them, it is, because of the eggs and how the egg case, the chorion, hardens. And that was, if you have the wrong chemical composition, the eggs, once they're fertilized, won't harden because they have to be in one state so the sperm can enter the egg. Once that happens, biochemical metamorphosis changes, and the egg needs a certain amount of water composition to correctly harden and then start developing into the fry and the fingerling and the fish.
Correct. You already took away most of my speech for later, but thanks, Tim.
Well, you only got 5 minutes. This isn't a dissertation, Thomas.
Okay.
So this
So
is
now that we know we have to use our water, what you do next? You need to have a salt, and that's where we developed the instant cichlid salt. And instant cichlid salt was developed with the help of at least in Europe, a well-renowned histologist named Robert Algayer. And Robert has been many times in Africa and discovered many fish. He has some cichlids named after him, and he helped us to develop this salt because he wanted to have a product that when he went to Africa, he wanted to be able to take the fish, or to take at least some fishes, bring back to Europe, be able to reproduce them in the same condition, and to have the same fish as they were in the nature. And for him, it was very important that he could use the same salt, whether he wanted to reproduce Lake Tanganyika or Lake Malawi or Lake Victoria. So he had one product, fits it all. He just changed the concentration of the salt. And then he was able to bring these fishes and to reproduce them and acclimate them as well. So what are the main benefits of using instant cichlid? First, it's going to have a very stable pH. And when with all the minerals that you have inside, such as the bicarbonate, the carbonate, it will stabilize the pH level and it will neutralize all the acids in the water. The steady pH will help the fish metabolism, and it will reduce the amount of stress they could get. And because of the stress, it reduces the immunity, and well, all the story we know, but showing that having a stabilized pH is very important. Instant cichlid will also optimize the conductivity. And so the conductivity, what is it? It measures the concentration of dissolved iron in the water. Is it clear enough, Tim?
Yeah, so what you're doing here is you're mixing a concentrate, 1 gram dissolved into 1 liter, and that will give you a conductivity of 1,300 microsiemens per centimeter, correct?
Yeah, correct.
And then basically, if you're going to use that water for Lake Tanganyika and cichlids, you dilute it in half, roughly.
Correct.
And for Malawian cichlids, you basically about
3-4,
and then Victoria, about 10 or so.
Yeah.
So you're making concentrate, and then you dilute that with more RO water to get to the final conductivity, which would then automatically give you the right combination of magnesium and the different salts for the lake that you're looking for.
Correct. And so the conductivity, you can buy some reader on any shops. Normally every fish shops should sell them. Just be careful, if you buy one, you need to have some calibration solution, just to explain you the right, to be sure you're correct. However, if you follow the guidelines using 1 gram for 1 liter, be sure you're going to have your 1,300 microsiemens per square centimeters.
And like all aquariums, what's evaporating is just pure water. So when you're doing your water changes, you need to take that into consideration. Just don't top up with new concentrated water. You need to measure your tank water and know what your target is, and then dilute the instant cichlid and bring it back up to the top amount.
Yeah, correct. So all of this will help to support a proper, and that's going to be tough for me to say in English, acclimatization.
No, that's what we say, acclimatization.
It's what you see.
No, I
It's tough
can't
for me
say
to say acclimatization
Yeah, what he said.
and reproduction. So because of this, if you take, for example, Robert at that time, he was taking wild caught animals, so that's less and less the case. But he was taking them, so he was able to reproduce, and instant cichlid really helped him to bring species, and some of these species still exist because they are, swimming in instant cichlid water. For breeding as well, to have the right minerals and pH balance is really critical, as Tim said before, because it will encourage natural behavior. So you will have courtship, spawning, because you recreate the optimal condition. The presence of magnesium, as you said before, is linked to the reproductive health and the egg viability.
Before we talk with Dale, Thomas, can you use this for goldfish?
Potentially, you could use it for goldfish if you want to increase the GH. Yeah.
The general hardness. Because if you're in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, that water is naturally super soft, meaning low calcium, low magnesium, low pH, low conductivity, and goldfish, live bears, Australian rainbows, and African cichlids don't do well in that water just because of the water chemistry. And you can use instant cichlid to adjust and keep those animals.
Yeah, and at one point, goldfish are super strong anyway. So you can add without really checking the conductivity, I would say.
Yeah.
Don't hit
So
me as doctors, but
I have a question from a non-cichlid guy. If I'm adding instant cichlid salt into my water to do my water changes, and you said about checking the aquarium, would the hardness of my aquarium drop, as in the calciums, the magnesiums, everything that's in there? Would that drop at any stage, or would that just stay the same and I'm just topping up? In a marine tank, it drops because things are using it. But in a cichlid tank, what's using it?
Nothing's using it. The
Nothing.
only reason it would increase is that if you're for evaporation, because as I said, the pure water is evaporating, so the calcium and the magnesium are increasing.
Yeah.
But there's no coral equivalent in fresh water that's going to be removing substantial amounts of calcium or magnesium from freshwater systems.
Yeah.
So
it's
they would
mostly
need
for
to-
spawning,
they would
for
need
the
to be-
eggs and everything.
So they would need to be careful 2 months, 3 months down the line to make sure that they're doing a test of their aquarium before they keep adding more and more and more and more.
But you don't add more and more and more. If you top up with RO water, like what you should do, you will have will remain constant. And when you do your water change, you take away a number and you just put back the same number.
Got it.
Yeah.
So
well, the issue with that, Thomas, is while the calcium and the magnesium are not being used up, the bicarb and the carbonate are. And see, that's why I like to just change water. You know, you've got to adjust the new water, but I don't add RO water on itself because that's not going to do anything for the calcium and the magnesium. That's my personal preference.
Yeah. But it depends. You don't do water change every day, or you do a drop by drop.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the best. But
serious cichlid breeders, they're changing water every day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In that sense, makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Thomas.
You're welcome.
Dale is up now.
I'm going to make this quite not so technical. I
Was
hope.
it technical?
Okay, so in terms of reptile products, as you can see on the screen there, we've got the black clamp lamp. This is a reflector dome. We've spoke about heating products, lighting products, UV products. So this is the equipment that those products or those screw fittings can go into. So as you can see, this is a dome shape that sits on top of your mesh vivarium, or you can actually support it and put it inside, or it's called a clamp lamp because on the bottom right-hand side there, you can see the clamp. So if you have an open top table for a tortoise or something like that, for example, you can fix this to the side and then this will brace it as a clamp. You squeeze the two wires together, the clamp opens, and then you can angle the dome or the clamp lamp wherever you want it to go. Inside the dome is a highly polished reflective material. I'm going to say aluminum, just for you Americans. it's not how we say it, but that's a different topic. Aluminium. So the idea of it being super shiny is that when the lamp's inside, no wasted light goes out to the side. It all gets reflected and pushed down. So that's going to increase the light, but it also then increases things like UV, depending on what lamp you're using, or heat if you're using it for a heating product. So there's no waste. The products come in 3 different sizes. The idea of the 3 sizes is to match the size of the lamp or the wattage of the lamp that you're using. The cable is rated right the way up, so you don't need to worry about the electricity cord. It's the physical size of your lamp bulb that goes inside. So a 70-watt mercury vapor is quite small, so you can put that into the small size dome, but the 125-watt mercury vapor is quite big. Now, it wouldn't fit. It physically wouldn't fit inside the dome of the small one, so that would need to go into our large, which can handle up to 200 watt. Now, a comment that's been mentioned several times in the past is, why do the small and the medium? Why don't you just do a large and then every single wattage product can just go into the large? The problem with that is if the bulb lamp is small inside the reflector dome, the reflection puts it back in, so you end up with a big shadow when it hits the bottom of your terrarium, because the bulb is so far in the dome. So if the dome is 8 inches tall and your lamp is only 3.5 inches, you've got that 4-inch worth of gap between the edge of the reflection dome and your lamp, and it all reflects back on itself, and it doesn't produce a nice flood inside your vivarium. You end up with almost like a dark spot. So choosing the right one for the wattage of your bulb is quite critical to make sure you get the right light output or the right spread. So that's why we do 3 different sizes. The small and the medium have got the same circumference size. They're both 5.5 inches, and the large one is 8 inches. All our products, they all come with a hook as well, which is in the middle picture there. So if you have an open top enclosure, like a tortoise enclosure, you can hang the reflector dome straight down. And for safety, all of our domes all come with a mesh. But the one thing that most point out is they're called the Black Edition because the whole thing is black. Now, several people have also got black domes, but they still have a white ceramic part at the top. Ours is a black ceramic with a black dome and a black mesh. So when it's on top of your black meshed top enclosure, to have an all black unit, it just looks sexier. It's just sleeker. It just blends in nicer rather than having a silver dome with a white top and a silver kind of mesh. Everything is all black. It all fits together quite nicely. So yeah, they're supplied with the hook, they're supplied with the clamp. There's an on-off switch in the power cord from the socket to the unit, if that makes it easier, or you can, depending on your product, you probably run it on a thermostat or a simple analog timer at the plug socket. You also get a 2-year guarantee. So any electrical product from Reptile Systems that has a plug all comes with a 2-year guarantee. So you can rest assured that this is absolutely fine, and it's you've got nothing to worry about. The mesh comes off. It's dead easy to kind of clip on and clip off. So if you are putting the dome over your mesh top enclosure, don't use our protective mesh, because if you're using it for UV, for example, UV will get blocked by our mesh, and then it will get blocked by the mesh of your mesh top enclosure, which means you're just going to reduce probably about half the amount of UV requirements that's going to come in. The product will take the wattage. It's not about, so if you're using a 75 watt or a 60 watt lamp, use the small. If you're using 80 to 100 watt, use the medium, and anything between 100 and 200 watt, you can use the large. There's also a heat shield on the power cord. So as you can see from the picture in the top corner there, the power cord runs down, and it can run down the side of the product depending how you've got it installed. But don't worry if the power cord touches the outside of the dome and it's used, you know, and it's getting warm. It's got a thermal protection shield on the cord to stop any kind of heat damage in the power cord as well. And if you move to the next slide, Tim, we can just see the size differences between the 3 domes. So yeah, small, medium, and large. As I said, the small and the medium have got both 5.5 inch diameters, but this is just the height difference. So yeah, 6, 7, 9 as it goes up. But yeah, please choose the right size depending on the lamp. You want the lamp to finish at the bottom of the dome.
Think of it like recessed lighting. You know, you have people know what recessed lighting. If you put a little bulb way up in the recessed lighting, it's all hitting on the side there. And
Yes, correct.
Shadow coming down. So you need to size the bulb to the right clamp lamp. And you can also use these if you have you know, those little pond tanks where there's got water in the bottom and plants up at the top. You can clamp this on and have it shine down so that you're giving your plants illumination, and you get nice flickering on the water and things like that.
Yeah, anything like an open top paludarium and anything like that. They're completely versatile. Anything that has an E26 screw fitting that they'll take, obviously depending on the wattage.
I thought we weren't going to get technical now.
E26 is the Edison screw side, which is interesting because 26 relates to 26 millimeters, and obviously it's not quite an inch. See, yeah, so we use E27 just to make it more difficult. You use E26, so we're bigger than you on that one, which is interesting.
They also you have holes on the top, on near where the hook is attached.
Yeah, I think you might be able to see that just on the picture there. You can definitely see it on the right hand side,
top right corner. Yeah. So this is for the heat convection.
That's it. Yeah, just to allow that heat that gets trapped between the outer of the lamp and the inner of the dome. Any of that excess heat can just kind of escape, so it doesn't cause the product to overheat in any way. If you're using the reflective mesh and it's on an open top enclosure, the heat will, you know, allow it or go out the sides. But if you've got these mounted on the inside of a plastic or a wooden enclosure, it just allows the heat to get out so the product doesn't overheat. They're all regulated and tested and tried, and so they're absolutely fine for what you need across the 3 sizes. And they're available from all of your online or preferred online stores on retailers. So the other product we've got in the equipment, if you go to the next slide for me, kind sir.
Bonus?
Is the T5 electronic ballast. Now, obviously, we've already spoke a couple of times about the Eco T5 unit, which is an all-in-one product with the unit and the lamp all inside. This is what we used to use before they came out. So this is a twin ballast unit with 4 wires that come out with end caps, as you can see in the bottom right-hand picture. These are still used quite commonly, especially if you are, because they will do 2 units in one. If you've got 2 vivariums next to each other, you can put one light on one and one light on another. You can put them inside, you can put them outside. The interesting thing with these is that all the lamp leads are detachable from the actual ballast. So if you want to use them inside the enclosure, you're only passing sort of like a 1/2 inch wire cable through the back rather than a 1 inch sort of trying to fit in to try and get it in. So yeah, again, 2-year warranty. There's a T5 comes in three main sizes: 24 watt, 39 and 54, which equates to 2 foot, 3 foot and 4 foot. But you can use a 1 and a 2, so you can use it as a single or a twin, and they're completely detachable. And the black O-rings you can see there on the fittings, they're silicone, so they give it that IP67 rating. So if you're in there spraying, or you've got a paludarium, like Tim says, or you're in there near water, you rest assured that your lamp and electrics are completely safe as well.
Very cool.
And the next one is the other piece of electronic equipment. So this is our compact lamp unit. This is a very strong and sturdy, protected E26 fitting. So this can be mounted directly over the top of your mesh enclosure, or you can mount it on the inside, or you can mount it on the wall, and you can angle it down depending on what you want to use. You can use it as a compact lamp, but there's also several LEDs that will fit in there as well. We spoke about the New Dawn compacts, 9 watt and 13 watt. They would fit in there, and you can angle the LED to point down. It's got air holes in the side there for ventilation, just in case the lamp gets hot. You can see that dimpled reflector all the way around, so it doesn't lose any of the light and pushes it all down. If you're using it inside the enclosure, then use our protective mesh. If you're using it over the top of your mesh enclosure, then remove the 2 screws you can see on the front there, and take our protective mesh away. Again, if you're using it for UV, you're going to reduce UV with ours, and then you reduce the UV with another one. So yeah, it's an electrical product from Reptile Systems, so it has a 2-year warranty, as the same as the others, and the unit's 12 inches long. So it will take all the different, from the mini compact to the large compact to the LEDs. They'll all fit inside. Yeah, it's a nice way, neat and tidy, to put over your top of your mesh enclosure, and yeah, put your compact lamps in there, especially these 3U energy saving ones.
We use it also a lot for bird cages. This one.
Yeah, so you see on the corner where there's the 4 kind of graphics, the bottom left one there shows you one of the feet, and you can see it's got 2 thumb screws with another plate behind it. Well, you can put the aviary cage in between those 2 thumb screws, and you can fit it straight onto there. And what that means is then you can angle it on the feet. You've got about 60-70 degrees of angling, so you can put it over the top of the enclosure, over the top of the aviary, fix it nice and tight, so it means that your birds can't get at it and knock it off in any way, shape or form, and it's nice and sturdy. Especially some of the smart designs of aviaries where they've got a curved top or something like that. It doesn't make any difference, because you can clamp this to the side or to the top. So if you've got a different design one, you can still use this for your aviaries.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dale.
No problem at all.
All right. And now we're going to switch a little bit, and we're going to talk about the Dr. Tim's Aquatics do-it-yourself beneficial fish food. You go into the store, any pet store, you look online or whatever, and you just see this huge range of fish foods. And it can be quite confusing as what's the right food to get for your fish. And we've basically boiled it down to 2 choices. There is Dr. Tim's freshwater food and Dr. Tim's marine food. Now, there are differences. The major difference is that freshwater fish can produce the 2 groups of fatty acids they need automatically. So what's a little saying we have is they can make their HUFAs from the PUFAs. They're highly unsaturated fatty acids, HUFAs, from polyunsaturated fatty acids. Well, interestingly, saltwater fish can't. So don't try to get cheap and slide by feeding your saltwater fish a food that's specifically designed for freshwater fish, because it's not going to have the right fatty acid composition for your fish. And what does that mean? Well, it means that the fish colors will suffer, the fish health will suffer, they can start getting skeletal diseases. They're going to be malnourished because fatty acids are the key to all types of foods. What we make here is two types it's a do-it-yourself fish food. It takes 5 minutes to make. And what you do I'm going to show you a video. But what's in these foods? The difference between the freshwater, the saltwater, and the freshwater formula is that in the saltwater formula, it is a salmon-based fish meal, where in the freshwater formula, it's a menhaden-based fish meal. That's where the fatty acid composition comes in. Then they both have antioxidants like blueberries. They have carrots, spinach, and natural ingredients. Sounds like a nice salad here. They have real probiotics. We put the name on there. They have dried kelp, spirulina. What they don't have is preservatives, because in the dry state, and we fill these with nitrogen so they keep, until you actually mix these up, they're fine in the pouch. Once you mix them up, you've got about a month in the freezer. You keep them in the freezer, the little cubes, and you can keep it in the refrigerator. It's only going to last about 5 days. If you keep it in the freezer, once it's made up, it's going to last about a month. So as I said, the saltwater formula is high in salmon. So that's your PUFAs, that's your polyunsaturated fatty acids, which they require. And then I think I said HUFAs from PUFAs. I meant PUFAs from HUFAs. I'm getting my PUFAs and HUFAs messed up.
Only you.
Where the menhaden is in the freshwater formula. Blueberries, and I had somebody come up at a show to me once, and they said, well, why would you put blueberries in your fish food? Fish don't eat blueberries. And that's true. But the reality is fish don't eat much of anything that we give them. Most animals don't. We're making a man-made food for these. So unless you want to go out there and start hunting for your fish food, you're going to have to come up with something. And while there's nothing wrong with flakes and pellets, and they're fine as a part of a diet. I'm not fond of exclusively feeding pellets or exclusively feeding flakes, because they have binders. That's the grain. And fish really don't do well with grains. They add waste, they add pollution, they pass right through the fish. As an aside, people have goldfish, and the goldfish will float upside down, and it'll be, oh, well, there's something wrong with the swim bladder. In very few cases is there something wrong with the goldfish swim bladder. The actual fact is goldfish don't have a stomach, an area where the food is mixed with digestive juices and bacteria to break things down. Goldfish have a very long intestine. And what can happen when they're fed constantly a grain-based food like pellets and flakes is they get constipated. It gets stuck in there. Now bacteria start working on that, and the bacteria are producing a gas. And that gas accumulates and blows up the intestine. So now this blimp of gas is forming in the intestine. Well, the gas is lighter than water, and that flips the fish upside down, and the fish is floating. What's been the wives' tale? Get the fish to eat brine shrimp or pea, something high in fiber, so that it basically can pass all that stuff out. Well, if you feed them a good diet to begin with, like our Dr. Tim's beneficial fish food that doesn't have all those grains, they're not going to have that gas problem. They're not going to be swimming upside down with their intestines clogged. And as we say right on the package, it's going to prevent stringy poop. You've had fish for a while. You see that stringy poop. That's a technical term here, stringy poop.
Yeah, no, technical term. I get it. Yeah.
And that's because of all the grains and things that they're fed. But getting back to blueberries, blueberries are a great antioxidant. Carrots are high in biotin, which is good for muscle function and nervous system. We put spinach in there because spinach, just like it's good for you, it's good for fish. It has a wide amount of minerals and vitamins. And then we put marigolds in because marigolds enhance color. Most fish get their color from what they eat. And if you feed them a poor diet, their color fades and disappears. And this doesn't matter whether it's freshwater or salt water. It doesn't even matter if they're a top carnivore. They're getting their veggies, which are their color enhancing substances, because they ate something that ate something that ate some veggies through the trophic level there. Okay, so how does this work? Well, we're going to go multi-technical here. See if this is going to work. Oh, yeah, look at that. I showed you guys. This is how to make your Dr. Tim's. So to start, you have 1 scoop, or it also comes in a pouch. Place a half a cup of water, set it for 1 or 2 minutes. It doesn't matter if the water's got chlorine, but the water needs to boil. Caution, hot water. It was boiling. Yes. Stir that in, add the pouch, stir, stir, stir. Okay. And then you cooking show here. Place in the freezer like that. 2 hours. And now you've just made 90 cubes of frozen fish food. We don't recommend leaving it in the tray. Put it in a pouch or a Tupperware or something like that. The cubes will come soft. People are, oh, these are going to hurt my fish. People eat ice cream. Fish can eat this. You can break it up with your fingers because the binder is actually giant kelp macrocystis, so it's agar-agar. And as you can see, even as the fish are hitting it, it's not. We're going to talk about this next time. Ha! We're going to leave you there.
Oh,
Ah,
it's like a cliffhanger.
oh, no, we're not. That's for the next one, the additives.
That
Nope.
looks like the good stuff. What's that?
Now that's this food was the good stuff. But yep, got to come back. So what we have is, as the video showed, 1 pouch does 1 tray. And obviously we sell the tray. Nice silicone tray, dishwasher safe and everything like that. 90 cubes. I think it's the perfect size. As I was starting to say, the cube, when it hits the water, will not explode into a million little pieces because the binder we use. It'll sink down to the bottom slowly, if it even gets there, because the fish will attack it.
Yeah.
But if you have shrimp, crabs, bottom feeders, now they can start getting it there and eating it. And then we have a pouch.
Sorry, Tim, can you unshare your screen and then we'll be able to see that a bit bigger? If you've finished on the slideshow.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll be able to see it a bit clearer now.
Yeah, so now you can see the pouch here, or the big pouch, has a scoop in it, and it's 3 scoops to make a tray, and this makes 10 trays worth. And again, it comes in the freshwater formula, or it comes with the saltwater formula. And it's kind of weird. We do get a complaint about this fish food, and that is it smells like fish food. I'm not kidding. It perplexes me, folks. If you're buying fish food with no scent, the chances of that fish food being nutritious is pretty much 0. Okay, it's fish food. Put it in a bag, put it in Tupperware. It'll be fine. It's not going to stink up the refrigerator or things like that. But yes, it does smell like fish food. That's the good stuff. We also sell a starter kit. The starter kit gets you the tray and 2 pouches, instructions on how to use it. It's really a great food. Think about it. You spend all this money and time and effort, and you have these beautiful fish, and now you're going to feed them terribly. This is just a common thing. You need to feed a better food. doesn't take 5 minutes, and you've made the food, and you've got enough food, depending on your fish, for a couple of weeks, a month, depending upon what you're feeding. Going on vacation, what do? How many disasters have people had a pinch? Well, people can count. Even kids these days can count to 5.
Yeah, true.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and you can take it and say, okay, feed 2 cubes a day. Very simple, very easy. In the States, you can't get medicated fish food anymore, so you're quarantining your fish. You can take this food, and after you've stirred it up, you can add the medications to it, and you can make the medicated food right on the spot to help with your fish. So it's very versatile, very nutritious, very clean, and you will notice the colors coming back to your fish when you feed this food. So, and it's not expensive. Trays like $3.50 a tray. That's cheap compared to other types of food, and it is very healthy.
It's very convenient to use. Very convenient.
So there's another thing for me there. So several years ago, we were trying to find out why we're having problems with water quality, and then someone said, "Have you checked your food?" And to me, it didn't kind of make any sense. But we were feeding the frozen food in the ice cube tray, you buy from the store. So we would defrost the food, put it into a small beaker, and then pour that food into the tanks, and that was it. But we tested the water before, so we defrost the frozen ice cubes, and then we did a water test on that water before we fed it. The water quality is terrible.
Terrible.
The water, and of course, if you pour that brine shrimp or whatever, Artemia, kind of through a sieve, and you only feed that, that's one thing. But if you're actually putting the purchased ice cube and putting that into your tank, the quality of water that you're adding in there, it's so bad. And you go, but it's only a small amount, but it was so bad. It would turn into, you do that every day, 2 or 3, 4 cubes a day. That's going to start to add up. Definitely going to start to add up. So yeah, using that stuff, we use that over in at the head office in France for our fish. It's amazing. The fish love it. I can honestly vouch for it.
The other thing you have to go ahead, Thomas. Sorry.
The anemones as well. We feed the anemones with it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and I do like a lot.
Yeah, and what we found when I was at Marineland, we had a big fish room with lots of fish. I had 2 people that full-time kept care of the fish. And we would get in live foods and frozen foods throughout the year. Springtime and summer, we would actually start having disease outbreaks. And I traced it back to the food, because none of this food is irradiated or anything like that.
No.
We just stopped feeding food from spring into summer, because poor water quality, where they get black worms and different types of things.
Blood, the red worm, where does it come from? It comes exactly from the dirty, smelliest kind of part of the water system you could possibly imagine. So
exactly.
Yes,
so
100% agree. 100%.
Much cleaner, healthier option. So feed the fish correctly. Don't spend all this money and then just skimp on a poor diet. It makes no sense. And the beneficial fish food is great for corals. Just break it up and spread it throughout the tank. And all types of fish, brackish, freshwater fish, everything.
Just because this seems to be a common trend, you could actually kind of put this analogy down into wine as well, couldn't you? Why buy cheap wine when you could spend a little bit more and get the good Italian stuff, for example?
French, Dale.
No. We've had this conversation.
And you're wrong. You were wrong that time. You're wrong this time. So.
It's still wrong.
You're still wrong.
No comment.
No comment.
So says the French guy.
Who prefers California Chardonnay. So,
yeah.
Infidels. Don't try to make sense out of this, people.
So you got the American that prefers French, the English guy prefers Italian, and the French guy prefers American. Nice.
Nice.
We all live in the wrong place, and we just need to move around.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening, and we appreciate this. Please tell your friends about the Dr. Tim's Aquatics podcast. And until next time, good fish keeping. Thank you, Dale and Thomas.
Cheers.
Thank you. Take care.